Two women are trapped on an abandoned TV tower, 2,000 feet above the desert, after the ladder collapses. No water, no signal, no way down. Before this nightmare ends, one must make an impossible choice to survive. But their story began long before this trap, on a different cliffside, with a single bird and one fatal mistake. Becky, her husband Dan, and her best friend Hunter are pure adrenaline junkies. Conquering a massive vertical rock wall is their only goal. They climb without a problem until nature strikes. Dan tries to place an anchor into a small hole, but a bird suddenly flies out, right into his face. He loses his grip, sending him into free fall. Dan dangles by a single safety line. As Becky and Hunter move to help, the rope snaps. Dan plummets straight to the canyon floor, gone in a split second. 51 weeks pass. Becky lives like a ghost, drowning her trauma in alcohol, her house a wreck, ignoring every call. One night at a local bar, she dials Dan's old number just to hear his voicemail greeting and whisper, "I miss you." Outside, her dad, James, is waiting. Their relationship falls apart as Becky accuses him of hating Dan. Since then, Becky has been avoiding her dad. James begs Becky to stop wasting her life, saying Dan wouldn't wallow in grief if the roles were reversed. Becky refuses a ride, walking back alone through the darkness, wanting only to be left alone. Back home, a crying Becky prepares to swallow a lethal dose of prescription pills. Her phone rings, and Hunter appears at her door, pulling her into a tight embrace. Hunter has a wild plan. Climb the abandoned B67 TV tower, a rusted titan standing 2,000 feet above the desert. Becky refuses because of her trauma, but Hunter convinces her it's the perfect place to scatter Dan's ashes. Becky finally agrees, unaware she's walking straight into a deadly trap. The 6-hour road trip begins. To kill time, Becky scrolls through Hunter's photo gallery and spots a strange picture showing a man's hand resting on Hunter's upper arm, but not his face. Becky asks who he is. Hunter freezes, turns pale, and claims she has no idea who it is. The mystery hangs in the air as Becky mutes another incoming call from her dad. They stop at a local diner. Hunter admits her reckless online persona is just for the money. When they ask the waitress for directions, she points out the window. Rising in the distance, the tower disappears into the sky, its aviation warning light flashing at the peak. Becky's phone is dead. Since the diner charges for power, Hunter executes a dangerous life hack. She dismantles a table lamp, removes the hot bulb, and forces the charger prongs into the live socket. It works. A quick fix that will mean life or death later. That night, they check into a nearby motel. Morning arrives. Hunter vlogs while driving, almost getting them hit by an oncoming 18-wheeler. Instead of learning her lesson, she turns the near-death shock into content. When they reach the site, the main gate is padlocked with a "No Trespassing" sign, forcing them to hike 2 miles through the desert heat. Along the trail, 2 vultures tear into a stray dog that's somehow still alive. Becky chases the predators away, but Hunter calls it the rule of the wild, snapping a photo for clout. Becky questions the sanity of Hunter's followers. The joking stops as they stand at the base of the B67 tower, stretching straight into the desert sky. Becky shakes as trauma takes over. Hunter challenges her to face the fear for Dan, reigniting Becky's resolve. Hunter clips a 50-foot safety line between them, their only lifeline. The climb begins with Hunter leading and Becky below. The ancient frame trembles under their weight. Becky steps up and grips a rung, but it suddenly comes loose and disappears into the desert below, leaving her rattled. Neither knows the entire ladder is rotting away. A single wrong step means death. Dehydrated, Becky begs for a water break at the 1,000-foot mark, on par with the Eiffel Tower. Hunter is distracted by the view, while Becky insists on moving fast to get back down. They keep climbing, but constant vibrations from their footsteps gradually loosen a massive bolt holding the main internal ladder. They don't notice the danger as the structure begins to give way and crack. They reach the end of the internal ladder. They must climb the remaining 200 feet on an external ladder in the open air with no safety cage. Looking down, Becky freezes in panic, paralyzed by her intense fear of heights. Hunter tries to calm her down, telling her to sing a song. Becky nervously chooses Ring-a-Ring-a-Rosies. Then Hunter makes a fatal mistake, purposefully jiggling the external ladder as a joke to cheer Becky up. That shaking loosens the main locking bolt even more, leaving it on the verge of falling off. Becky steps up. The stripped bolt pops out into a free fall. Hearing a strange sound, Becky looks concerned, but Hunter brushes it off because the summit is within arm's reach. Hunter hauls herself onto the platform first, then pulls Becky up. The moment Becky is pulled onto the platform, another connecting bolt comes loose under the added weight, unnoticed. They celebrate their success on a metal disc the size of a pizza pan, 600 meters in the air, pulling out their phones to capture the moment. Hunter deploys her drone and pulls off an extreme stunt, hanging off the edge just to chase likes. They think the hardest part is over, but they are completely wrong. Hunter pressures Becky to take turns hanging over the edge for a photo. Though shaking with terror, Becky gives in after Hunter reminds her of who she used to be. With Hunter holding her securely, Becky completes the stunt and gets pulled back up. With that, they're done. Becky opens her box and scatters Dan's ashes into the wind. They prepare to head back down. Hunter tells Becky to step onto the ladder first. The exact moment Becky shifts her full weight, the ladder tears away beneath her. Only the top few rungs remain attached to the platform. Hunter manages to stay on the platform, but Becky plummets straight down, trapped. She dangles in thin air, nearly 2,000 feet above the desert floor, saved only by the short safety line tethering them together. Hunter hauls Becky back onto the platform. They check their phones, but the network is dead. They find an emergency box containing binoculars and a flare gun, not realizing Becky's thigh is injured in the panic. They type out an SOS message on Hunter's Instagram account. Hunter then uses Becky's hair tie to lower the phone, but it is too short. She carefully climbs beneath the platform and lowers the phone even farther, but they are still too high for a signal. Desperate, Becky gets an idea from a school experiment. They wrap the phone tightly using a sock and bra padding, force it into a sneaker, and drop it. From this height, they have no idea whether the message went through or the phone shattered. Through the binoculars, they spot a man with his dog and a friend near an RV. They wait for nightfall so the flare will be visible. When the flare gun is fired, the two men below stare up at the peak. Becky and Hunter cheer, believing safety is close. However, their hopes shatter. The two men walk over to Hunter's car, smash the window with a crowbar, steal it, and drive away. Exhaustion finally catches up with them, and they fall asleep. Out of nowhere, Hunter slumps to the side, nearly falling off the platform in her sleep, but Becky grabs her just in time. Facing despair without a drop of water, a dark truth comes to light. Becky notices a small 143 tattoo on Hunter's ankle, Dan's private code for "I love you." Hunter breaks down sobbing, admitting she had an affair with Dan for 4 months, right up until the week of Becky's wedding. The friend beside her is the same person who had an affair with her husband. Right after that, an alarm goes off, marking exactly 24 hours since they dropped the phone. Dehydration forces Becky to put her anger aside. To atone for her mistake, Hunter chooses to crawl down their 50-foot safety line to retrieve the backpack containing water and the drone from the satellite dish below. Hunter reaches the end of the rope, but is still a few feet short. Ignoring Becky's panicked screams, she lets go of the rope and leaps onto the sloped, slippery surface of the dish, securing the backpack. To get back up, Hunter uses her selfie stick to hook the safety line, then takes a blind leap, but she loses her footing and slips into a free fall. Becky panics, thinking Hunter is dead, but Hunter shouts that she's alive because she landed on top of the backpack wedged on the rope. The impact badly injures both of her hands. Becky uses her remaining strength to pull the rope up inch by inch until Hunter crawls back onto the platform. The drone becomes their only chance. They write a distress note, on a diner receipt addressed to their motel. But when they launch it, the dying battery forces the drone to return. Becky remembers Hunter's idea. She climbs the 30-foot pole above the platform to dismantle the hot aviation warning light. At the top, Becky shoves the charger into the bulb socket. Because the prongs are too short, Becky uses her wedding ring as a makeshift metal conductor. The current connects, powering the device and charging the battery. Soon after, dehydration catches up with Becky, and she begins rambling with regret about her dad. Seeing Becky start to lose consciousness, Hunter keeps talking to her to keep her awake. Once the motel gets busy, Becky launches the drone again toward the highway. The drone flies fast, almost reaching the motel. But then, tragedy strikes. A passing 18-wheeler hits it, destroying the drone. The driver stops, gets out to check the wreckage, but then simply drives away. Becky loses the last bit of hope she had left, just as a desert storm rolls in. Starving and dehydrated, Becky plans to drop her phone to the ground, using Hunter's shoe as a shield. But Hunter refuses and tells her to look down at the satellite dish. Becky then realizes the horrifying truth. Hunter has been dead all along. She never survived the fall. She fell hundreds of feet and died instantly when she crashed onto the metal dish while trying to retrieve the bag. The Hunter who had been talking to her and keeping her company this whole time was only a hallucination created by Becky's traumatized mind because she couldn't accept that she was completely alone. Becky breaks down, crying uncontrollably, stranded at the top of the tower. As the sun rises, a vulture lands and attacks her rotting leg. Driven by pure survival instinct, Becky fights back, snaps its neck, and eats its raw meat just to stay alive. Fueled by that strength, Becky crawls down to the satellite dish. She breaks down in front of her best friend's body. Becky then types a final message to her father. "Help. Stuck on B67 tower. I love you, Dad." To give the phone the best chance of surviving a 2,000-foot drop, Becky shoves the device inside Hunter's sneaker, then hides it inside Hunter's body. Whispering an apology to her best friend, Becky pushes Hunter's body off the satellite dish, sending it into a free fall. The desperate plan works. Hunter's body takes the full impact, leaving the phone intact and allowing the message to finally go through. Soon after, emergency crews arrive at the scene. James, Becky's dad, runs over in panic, his eyes locked on the body bag because he believes his daughter is gone. Suddenly, Becky calls out from the open ambulance, alive. She rushes into her father's arms and breaks down, apologizing through tears. After losing her husband and her best friend, Becky learns that life is fragile, and every moment with the people you love matters.